Hello YouTube, hey, it's Dave here with another Watch Love video, and I am coming to you on a gorgeous sunny afternoon here in Pennsylvania on a very rare warm winter day. We only get a few of these per year in the wintertime, and so I am taking full advantage of it. I am out on my back porch with a few friends of mine, my Gurkha Beast that I'm about to enjoy, my Ontario Rat number 2 in the pocket, and on the wrist my Omega Speedmaster. And I have here in the hand an equation of time watch that I want to tell you about. So again, I am outdoors. Everyone's out with their motorcycles today. There's going to be at least 5 motorcycles drive by, 2 or 3 loud trucks, at least a couple of airplanes, a couple of noisy kids, and some barking dogs, and some crowing animals, crowing birds. So you're going to hear a little bit of everything. The wind is blowing, so I apologize for the audio quality of this video, but I just wanted to get this out while I'm enjoying some time on the back porch. So what is this watch? This is the Equation of Time Model 22 deck watch from RGM. So let me tell you a little bit about the brand and a little bit about RGM so that this watch can have some context for you. So this is not an official RGM branded watch. Those start in the $2,800 range and go on up. And when I mean up, I mean really up. If you get past the Swiss movement to their fully in-house movements, you're talking $7,000-8,000 range, again on up. In fact, I got to he let me handle his Tourbillon, which is what did he say, $120,000, something like that. So it's truly an American gem right here down the road here in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. In fact, I can come right out of my driveway here, go to the main road, turn left, and 4 miles later, about a 10-minute drive, be at the front steps of RGM. And so now, I would love to tell you I could afford an RGM branded piece. Hopefully one day I will, but the financial gods have not bestowed quite that much abundance upon me yet. So I am living in the land of saving for years for something like this, a $3,400 piece that I bought here. I mean, this is as high end as I can get, and so thinking of paying $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 for a watch is not what I'm capable of doing. In fact, I would tell you to please check out RGM, because for those of you that are saving your $10,000, $12,000 for a stainless steel Rolex and are falling for all the marketing gimmickry and limited supply and demand and all that crap from Rolex. Look, man, you can buy a mass-produced watch that's mainly fueled by marketing, or you can go down to RGM and you can get yourself a fabulously brand new American watch made by American hands from top to bottom, and have a true piece of horology. If you buy a Swiss Rolex for 10 grand, you're just gonna have an overpriced Swiss watch that was overhyped and overmarketed and falsely limited by supply and demand. Versus this, you can go down to RGM and get you a piece, with a small limited run and something that's truly amazing. So if I had the money, that's what I'd be doing, but I don't have the money, which has always been sad since RGM is right down the street. Then came along this. So many years ago, I'm going to say at least 10 years ago, Roland Murphy, who is the American watchmaker at RGM, started a forum called Equation of Time. And he began to produce a line of watches called the Equation of Time brand. So Equation of Time is to RGM what Tudor would be to Rolex. It is a baby brother brand, baby sister brand, however you want to call it, that enables him to do some things. As he told me, we got to take the tour of RGM watches. He spent about 4 hours with a group of us guys from this region. And basically said, hey, the Equation of Time brand is so that he can do some different things, some experimental things with color, with different styles, more sporty watches, something less high horology, and not slap the RGM brand on there and cheapen that brand. He wants to keep that the great American brand that it is. But the Equation of Time series enables him to do things a little more experimental, a little more things like this, and gear it towards poor people like me, guys who scrimp and save for their watch. Have to sell 3 or 4 watches to get something like this. And so I'm really grateful for the Equation of Time brand. In fact, so the Equation of Time line kind of went dead a while back, but you will find that you can now go on to the internet, and there is a new website dedicated to Equation of Time watches. Roland Murphy has revived the brand as of July 2019, I believe, and that is roughly around the time I picked this piece up. So let me tell you that story of how I came to get this one. I actually picked this up, I guess you could say used. It was more of new old stock. And what it did was, Roland Murphy was showing us this piece, and I had forgotten all about it. About 3 or 4 years ago, I had seen this on the internet, and I actually put it in my grail list of watches I hope to own someday. But kind of had forgotten about it. And then when he pulled it out of the safe, he had one remaining piece left, and he said he was going to revive this brand. And Roland Murphy sells this watch for $1,800. Now, you got to understand, with RGM, they actually price the watch with one price. There's none of this gimmicky stuff. The watch, the price he asks is the price you're going to pay. There's no waiting for discounts, waiting for sales, and all that gimmicky stuff. He prices the watch at what he needs to sell it for, and there's no haggling and none of that trick stuff going on. And so this watch is $1,800. Now, I do remember seeing these on the internet for much less than that, because Roland Murphy used to, what he used to do is use third-party dealers to sell his watches. He no longer does that. Now, if you want an RGM watch, if you want an Equation of Time watch, you're going to go straight through him. He's the pricing is locked. That's what you're going to do. But he had some trouble dealing with some of the middle people with his brand, with controlling or actually not promoting his watches. So that wasn't a good business model for him. But I do remember seeing some of these for much less than $1,800. So what I did is before I just shed any tears that I couldn't quite afford an $1,800 watch at the moment, I did an internet search and found a seller on eBay who had sold these. So I messaged the seller, who began to tell me that he had one left. That was this piece here. The only problem is that the power reserve indicator hand was not in the right location. So when you fully wound the watch, it only went to the 22 mark there, right there in the center, and it didn't go all the way back to the 0. So when you fully wind this watch, and it's fully powered, and I'm going to fully power it now. I've been waiting, didn't wind it so that you could see it. I'm going to fully wind this watch all the way back to 0. Well, at the time, you would fully wind this watch, it went to 22. So he gave me a nice serious discount. I got him down to about $750 for the watch, knowing that I'd probably have to do something to service this watch. So when I purchased the watch, it came, and that was about how the power reserve indicator looked. And I was winding one day, and I misjudged that, and I don't know if it was due to the age of the watch, because the watch is new old stock for probably about 10 years. But as I was winding it, I could feel the mainspring snap on me. So I was really bummed out about that. But so I took it to RGM, took it to Roland Murphy, talked to him right there in his shop, and he looked at the watch and said, I can fix that for you, but I'd just recommend you go ahead and get a full service. It's 10 years old. And so I did. And that cost me roughly $500 for a full top to bottom service, new mainspring, and of course putting the hands in the proper place in the alignment. So there it is, fully wound. And this came back to me brand new, fully ready to go for another 5 to 7 years before I service it again. So I was really, so all in all, about $1,200 is what this watch ended up costing me. So that's a little bit about the brand, a little bit about how I got it. So let me talk a little bit about the history of this watch, not this watch, but what this watch represents. This is truly an homage piece. When we talk about homages and watches, we tend to be talking about watches that look exactly like a ripped copy of something else with no real significance. We just put a different brand name on it. But this is truly an homage piece. And it's an homage to the Model 22 Hamilton deck watch. And no, I didn't know what a deck watch was when I first read about this watch. But so it's actually a different kind of watch that I never heard of. So we certainly know the wristwatch, and then you can certainly know the pocket watch. But now imagine something slightly bigger than a pocket watch, secured in a wooden box, and that's what you would call a deck watch. And it was designed to be mounted on the deck of a ship. And Hamilton made several thousand, maybe 1,200 of these, I believe, these pieces. In fact, let me see if I can pull up my phone real quick and show you. And here we go. This is the Equation of Time site that I invite you to go to. That's the old Hamilton building, I believe. And if we scroll down, you'll see what is truly a deck watch. This was a big piece, a big oversized pocket watch that was mounted in this box, and it was placed on the deck of a ship. And so what the sailors would do is they would set their wristwatches to this watch, and this watch was set to the chronometer that was down in the bowels of the ship, deeply protected. And so once a day, the deck watch would be set to the chronometer, and and then the sailors would set their watches to the deck watch. So, by the way, those deck watches are available for about $1,200 on eBay. So if you'd like a deck watch to go with your homage deck wristwatch, then those are available too. So that's the history behind it, and Hamilton made these. And so Roland's desire was to make an homage to that, which he did here in the Equation of Time deck 22, Model 22 deck watch. Okay, let's start with the watch itself, and we got to look at the dial. Let's see if we can get some close-ups, and I'll put in some macro shots as well. But what I love about this dial, I'm not a big white dial kind of guy. All my dials are either black or blue. But I did fall in love with this white dial. This, I think, also comes in black. At least they were made one time in black. But this is not really white dial. It's kind of a silvery dial. And it has some fine etching, brushing through the face of the dial. It's some kind of metal dial, it appears to be. I don't think it's a ceramic dial. It's certainly some kind of metal. And you will notice, and it's really hard to notice, but if you look very closely, you'll notice that the numerals are engraved into the metal dial. That's absolutely gorgeous. Now, the other parts, I believe, are printed on the dial. And my favorite part is this is Lancaster, Pennsylvania, USA. I happen to live here in Lancaster County. I'm right down the road from RGM and from the former headquarters of Hamilton. So this has some local significance for me, and so this really scratches a lot of itches for me. Horologically, it is, number one, it's relatively affordable. Number two, it is connected to RGM. And number three, it is American. Number four, it has some local roots with the Lancaster piece there. So it really is a great watch for me. So you have the dial, and you can see what this is. I don't have to explain it all to you, but I will show you the case back, and you can see that it says the chronometer deck watch EOT Model 22, assembled and designed in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, USA. Now, there was a more limited edition run of this that was a little higher end that had a see-through case back on that. I was hoping to get a see-through case back. I did ask Roland if he had any more. He said, no, those are long gone. But maybe one day he'll produce the see-through case back again, and I'd love to pick one of those up. Now, this is interesting in the size, in the proportions. This is a 39 millimeter watch from across the dial. But you have this large oversized crown, which is relative to the original deck watch. That's kind of how that went. And so you have this oversized crown and this relatively small case in that sense. However, what you have here is a 24 millimeter lug width, which is really interesting because pretty much if I asked you, hey, I've got a a 39, 40 millimeter watch, you're going to say, oh, you have a 20 millimeter lug width. And if I say I have a 42 or 44 millimeter, you say, well, you've got a 22 millimeter lug width. And you would, if I said I had 24 millimeter lug width, you'd say, oh, you have a Panerai, right? That's kind of how they work. So this is very unusual in its dimensions to have a very wide strap, but relatively small case. And so that makes this an interesting watch to wear, especially in terms of aftermarket straps. So let me talk a little bit about the strap this came on as I reach for it. It came on this strap, and no, this strap did not look like this. This strap was actually a really light honey brown, which I really didn't much like. I don't have honey brown colored shoes to match it with, so I took some leather dye, some ox blood leather dye, and just kind of rubbed it in there and wiped it off and let it dry, and it gave it this nice little antique look, which I kind of think really looks good on this watch. So you can imagine it looking like that. So sometimes I wear that, and this is what came with it, quick release on all of the RGM ones there. I also reached out and asked my buddy Max over at watchx.be if he could send me along something. He sent me along this Hirsch. Now I have this on a Jargar, whatever that is, cheap Chinese watch that I bought 4 or 5 years ago for a whopping $16. Yeah. And interestingly, it happens to look exactly like a Cartier Santos extra large. Yeah, I bought it because I wanted to see if I liked the Cartier Santos. Anyway, but you see the strap. It's kind of thick, and it's very wide. It tapers down from 24 to 22, I believe. And this is a Hirsch model. This is a beautiful piece, by the way. And it looks fabulous on this Cartier knockoff piece of Chinese junk. But it looks fabulous on there, right? By the way, I'm really embarrassed to tell you, I really enjoy wearing this watch. But as good as it looks on there, the problem with this is it's just too wide. So it really, on this watch, it kind of overwhelms the dial, and that's the challenge with it. So what I realize is what you have to do is you have to go from 24 to at least 20, preferably 18, but this is 20. And you'll notice with this strap, for example, it really tapers quickly. So you start at 24, but by here you're at 22. And on the wrist, you're going to get, if I can get this on the wrist, without messing up it will wrap around nicely. And it narrows significantly enough that it doesn't allow the strap to look awkward on the watch. And so I have, in fact, this is a Hadley Roma Ostrich strap I got on eBay that was supposedly marked down from $200 to $30. Yeah, so it probably is calf leather or something. And it was such a good deal, I went ahead and got a second one in a darker brown. And these are both quick release, so they come right on and off. And this makes for a beautiful combination as well. And then I also got, I think this is a Hadley Roma. This is a Kevlar strap. I saw this from a gentleman on Instagram who had this, and this really looks good too. But this one is fairly wide, and it's kind of bold, and it tends to dominate the watch a little bit, so I don't wear it as much. And then here we have another one that's 24 to 22, which again, it makes it, and it's so thick. I bought this thinking it would look really nice. It'd be a dress option, but it dominates the watch, so it doesn't get much wrist time. So really, the tricky part is the strap. And if you don't like the strap it came with, and you want to look for a strap that really narrows quickly. And of course, I added a butterfly clasp to it, which I don't think I'm going to get on. There we go. So that's the equation of time deck watch. Oh, by the way, yeah, let's talk about movement. This is a Puceau 7001. Let me get my phone out again and show you that. There we go. Here's the movement. An exploded view of the movement. And here's some of the data on that. It's a Puceau 7001 manual wind, produced since 1971. Now it's an ETA movement. Let's see, 17 joules. This has been modified, and I forget exactly what's modified. I'm not a very technical guy when it comes to movements, and so now you have really beautiful piece in there, and that's my one hope for this watch some days, to have a see-through case back, because I've seen pictures of the movement and it's absolutely beautiful, and so it'd be nice to be able to see the movement that's there. All right, guys, I think that's it. This has been a way too long of a video, but I appreciate you if you've tuned in this long. Give the Equation of Time website and the RGM website a look and see if you find something that you like and can afford, and get a piece of American horology on your wrist rather than this overhyped marketed stuff from Switzerland. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.